G'day, citizens. Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Space Tomato and Agrid. How you boys doing?
Good.
Good.
Feeling droppy or something.
First day for AIE. Well, we are doing this one live, so in front of a live studio audience type of thing this time around, because we're streaming this one on Twitch and YouTube, just so to help the people that are on Twitch get the drops that they've put up for today. So it'll be live, but we've got a lot to go over for the first day of IAE. I was deliberately thinking and trying not to say AIE for the people that know me. That was the first thing I was trying to do. But we'll cut it over here to the browser as we normally do. We're going to go through every ship in the lineup today, and we're going to go up through the special things as well. So I think we'll cut it off with the special things straight off the bat. And I think the real one I really want to go over really quickly, Argrid, is the
referral.
Yeah, the referral. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. I'm just trying to.
That is while you're pulling out. That is really, really nice.
8-year classic.
Yeah, it's been a really long time. I missed out on it. Sorry, I'm going through trying to find it.
You didn't do the old buy your own account and refer to yourself and do all of that stuff and missed out.
I did. Oh, where the hell did it go? I had it open here and I've lost it. Hang on, bear with me. Sorry, teething issues of doing it live. Here it is. This is the referral word. Where you can get the old star kitten from back in the day, and now it makes sense to why it was on the show floor, Argrid, when we went through there the other day.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'll be definitely trying to please refer me. That'd be really great. A code is somewhere around there, but yeah, if I don't get one of those, I'm definitely gonna go out and mysteriously make an account and gift something to myself. I wonder why I'd be doing that. I have no idea, but that is what I'll be doing. What about you, Space? You'll probably get, what, 10 referrals while you're asleep, knowing you. Lucky bugger.
I don't use my referral code. We just use our supporter referral codes.
Oh, but you've got a javelin though, don't you?
Yeah, that's from before.
Yeah.
That's from before we ever did. Like, as soon as we hit the javelin, we're like, okay, we don't need any more.
What about the new system? You didn't worry about going through the new ones?
Honestly, I don't really care that much about having stuff in Star Citizen. I kind of just want to play it. The referrals are cool, and like I see a couple trickle in, which I guess is from really old videos, maybe.
Yeah,
but I'm not. I don't know.
Well, look,
I'm okay. I just need space.
I'll show you this then, because this really kind of surprised me. Right? Because a lot of people think, oh, a big YouTuber, whatever they call, me and Arrogant and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, dude, oh my God, every single time referral program is brought up in Star Citizen social media, especially on Reddit, people are like, oh yeah, the streamer and content creator program. I've been going on the leaderboards every single week since they launched this program, and there's never a content creator up there. Maybe there's one or two every once in a while. Usually it's somebody who's a little smaller who may have done something to like boost their referral program. But if you scroll down right now, you're not going to see any content creators on there.
So I got this yesterday. That is my first referral. My first, right? And if they'd done it today, I would be ungrateful. But if they'd done it today, I would have got the dragonfly. But yeah, just to show you, I don't. Yeah, I don't have any. Like I have one, and I got that yesterday. So that really grateful for that. But like we don't have many at all. Like I think Argrid, you've got basically a Gladius. Like when it first came out, we essentially passed it around the Inforunners to try and help everyone get 10. And I think most of us have got a Gladius, don't we? But that's about it. But in this new system, that's the first one I've got since it came out, and I got it yesterday.
I've got 0 on the new system, and I had 39, I think, all up.
So that's almost 4 times. I think I had 14 on the old one.
But how many of those were packs actually, like extra packs?
Well, you got it for yourself though to get the dragonfly the first time, so most of those probably
I did that once.
One thing I do like is that it's all normal people up the top. Like it's not all content creators. So I think that's really cool. Sorry, Space, you were going to say?
No, it's just somebody in chat was calling out that Morph is on there. For the all-time list, yes, there are content creators on there, but we're talking about monthly, weekly, which is, 10 years versus a month or a week.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Cool. Right. So what was the other thing? So we're going to go through the ships, I reckon. So let's just go.
Well, the other thing with that referral pack is the new person gets the outfit pack, and the veteran gets the star kitten, which is cool. Kind of gives a veteran
Wasn't it the new
incentives.
person gets both and the veteran gets the bike? I thought it was that way.
Seems to imply other than that.
All right, let me read
And
it.
it does say that they get the Star Kitten pack or gear pack.
For a friend area with you both earn rewards. When the player you refer picks up a game package, you'll get a Star Kitten edition of the Dragonfly plus your usual point rewards referral progress in the program. At the same time, the new system will receive a Star Kitten racing gear pack. So yes, they
get the gear pack and the uniform.
Yep, and you get the bike. Wow.
So
I would have given the bike to both of them personally, but that's just me.
It's that rarity issue. It just makes new people want to try to get new people doing that type of thing as well.
Are we MLM citizen now?
Wait, what? Wait, what?
The idea of coming in, getting the benefit, and then turning around and trying to get other people to get the benefit so you can get more. It's like very
we're
MLM coded.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's how referral programs were.
Yeah. All right, so we will be doing bias guides later today on the RSI Salvation and Perseus. So that'll be a part of those that are watching. That'll be a part of this stream as well.
And most likely, on Twitch as well as the livey type streamers, which you probably just indicated. But
Space probably won't be here for that one. He's got to go off and do his own stuff, but that's totally fine. I've planned for that.
There's another one.
What?
Oh, show. Yeah.
No, yeah. We're gonna do a buyer's guide for the RSI Perseus and the Salvation. But
I thought we were covering both. Okay.
No. We're just doing this is just literally RSI day. This one. So we're gonna go through the ships. Lemming, are you there? Lemming? Nope, he's not there. Or he's muted. He's muted himself and he's deafened himself. I was gonna ask him if he. It looks like there's a CC from the Meteor. I just want to know if he'd checked out the CCUs for us. Right. First cab off the rank. Apollo medevac. Space, tell me about the medevac.
After years of waiting, it has come in as an ambulance. Yep. It's not. I don't know. It's not really the ship that I think most people thought it was going to be when it was sold. It doesn't have the drones. It doesn't have the drones. Is there anything else that it didn't come with? I guess I was really hoping that it would come with some medical gameplay upgrades, at least medical missions making a comeback. And I know they wanted to try and do that, but I mean, it really is a bummer to have these ships that have been concepts and sought after for so long finally drop into the game, and it's a drop in the bucket. Nobody freaking cares after 2 weeks. The Perseus, I think, will be different, but some of these ships we await so long, and then they bring it in and it doesn't have everything, or it doesn't have like the basics of what we kind of expected, and it just ends up being another general purpose ship or a respawn point that people can use. I think it's a beautiful ship, and I understand why they're making a variant of it because less people will on it for medical. But $260 for, I mean, a little more than a Cutlass Red.
Yeah. I think the other thing that broke the mold a little bit for this was the price increase. It only went up by 5%. That was another outlier that we've seen this year. But as you said, I don't disagree with anything you said, by the way. I think it clearly showed me that the medical gameplay didn't go far enough. And I think you'll agree from basically what they've told us in the past, it needs to go a lot further. They kind of said that they didn't want to release ships that didn't have their gameplay. Well, in my book, this
doesn't really have its gameplay.
It's a part of it, but it doesn't have all of it.
Man.
Yeah,
come on, all the gameplay you need.
But like we don't have any of the operation stuff. There's not really that much difference between the levels of beds, other than distance, really at the moment. And the level of wounds that it can do. But we know that there's going to be a lot more in the future, like cyborg limbs and stuff like that, and prosthetics. They haven't gone into any of that stuff, so we are literally at tier 0. I think this ship's got more things to come as medical does, but it just, it fell a little flat. I get what you're saying, and I agree. Algrid,
potential.
No, I kind of agree. Like it is a lovely. I love the Apollo. It's a beautiful ship. The interior is nicely laid out. The small cargo areas are nice. It's a great ship for doing small missions or going bunker runs. But but it does feel like it's missing elements of gameplay. It just feels like there's not enough meat on the bone. The drones would have helped, but again, the drone was really just a pickup point. So I'm not sure the drone really made a difference in terms of that. But being something that had been sold with it, it's something that people wanted and were expecting and hoping for. And hopefully it'll come back, given that it's still got the space for it. Hopefully they'll get something working that makes sense for it to be in. But at the moment,
I think they'll make it.
Can do the job of pulling someone in. So, yeah.
Right. The Arrastra, 575. This one came out, what was it, last year or the year before? God, it's a couple of years now it's been out. Really haven't had any updates on it. I think for me, now seeing the Salvation, we're starting to see the move to that industrial look for RSI. And I think, I don't know about you guys, but I get the feeling that they're going to start small and they're going to probably get a medium and, you know, like another 2 ships after this and work up to the Arrastra and the Orion. And they're going to have this newer RSI industrial look. That's the feeling I get. So that's my kind of takeaway for this ship. But as for this ship itself, what are your thoughts on it, Space? Because I always like to hear your opinion, because it usually differs from mine and Agrid's a little bit, and I like differing opinions. So why would you want this one over the, say, the Orion, when there's only $75 extra, and knowing how when ships come out later, they're going to drastically kind of increase in price in game? So, you know, do you think it's a better investment to go for the Orion over this, or would you go this over the Orion?
Money wise, I don't even know how much the Orion is. What is it, like
650?
$700-800?
It's 650, so it's only $75 more, and it's literally 6 times the size.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say I like that I can see, just from like this picture, I can see the crossover between the Arrastra and the Salvation. So it's nice to see that they're already kind of setting up that design language, like you were saying, for their industrial ships. Judging by how the Perseus was released versus its concept art, we can already see that this will be a much more detailed ship than what we see here. These panels that look like nice and white. What I've realized with the Perseus is all of the parts that I realized I liked in the concept art actually were never going to be that blank. You know, they fill it with greebling and details and texturing and all this contrast. So I look at this and I'm already like, okay, it's going to look quite a bit different from this in terms of the details. But I think this ship could be really valuable because we can see that they're already starting to think about ways to limit our ability to kind of maneuver with the ships. In the spacescapes they show in Squadron 42, there's a lot of debris. In the mining, in the Nix asteroid belt, there's quite a bit of tight spaces in the wreckage that they're pointing us towards, or the mining bases that are around all the different Stanton planets now. Spaces are getting a little bit more compact, and having a smaller ship could actually benefit you. If you have something like Rockcracker, for instance, and you wanted to bring some mining ships into that rock after you blow it open, this will be a lot easier than an Orion, possibly, and that could make a difference.
What about taking an Orion and earning down to an Arrastra to earn one, rather than taking an Arrastra and earning up to Orion? When you factor that in, does that weigh at all when there's only a $75 difference? Like, do you think it's worth the $75 to earn down rather than earn up, which is obviously going to be easier?
I don't know. At a $75 difference with ships like this, I think it comes down more to preference. $75, like, if you're willing to spend $600 on a ship, $75 doesn't really seem like that much more to give up.
And that's my point. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like this is more of a decision about how you want to do mining, and I think the Orion will be different from this. They gotta differentiate them in some way. Does this even have a refinery on it?
Yes, as does the Orion. Yeah, they both do. So essentially, this is kind of like the bigger, more versatile one that can kind of go down to planets. That's the drawback to the Orion. It can't go down to planets, but it literally can literally consume asteroids.
It's almost a rock cracker in itself.
Yeah.
And it's freaking huge.
I believe the Arrastra is like 4 to 6, and the Orion's 5 to 8. So if I'm talking about crew count here, so there is a crossover in crew size as well. So you could theoretically run less crew in the Orion and or more in the Arrastra, and there's a crossover. So my point being, that you know, there are other considerations obviously to the Orion as well, But really, at the end of the day, that earn down economy, I just think for $75, once you've gone this far, why wouldn't you go a little extra and just earn back down and get an Arrastra as well? Because again, from things that we've looked at, it's just far easier to earn down than it is to earn up. So yeah,
You gotta have friends.
Yep.
Yeah, we're talking shop. We're talking shop.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we said we weren't going to refer to chat comments, but Grim made a comment. So
yeah. He's rude like that. Grim always getting in the way. That guy.
Always jump. Forcing his opinions or getting seen.
All right, I think we can smack all these Auroras together. And I think the other thing we're obviously going to talk about when we talk about the Aurora is these are up for a rework as well. So,
yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I know if that's a good thing to say. Oh, great time to buy. Well, we don't know because it's in the middle of a rework. But I think the one that I'll really just want to look at specifically is the LN. This is the one that they offer the most in packs. Or the bundle. In historic terms.
CMR. Historically.
I'm talking about with a game package, Agrid.
Yeah, it's usually the MR.
I thought it came with the MR.
I always remember it being the LN for $45 with a game pack. That's how I always remember it. Since about 2015, but maybe I'm remembering wrong then. But I remember it being the LN. I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. It was it the MR or the LN? Anyway, either way, Algrid, tell me about the Aurora.
Look, the Aurora is a great starter ship. The LN is as far as you could see the upgrade pass in the original idea. It had all its guns attached, so it's wing mounts, there's nose mounts, the best components, best missile rack of all of them. So it's got the ability to have 4 size 2 missiles, which means it could take a size 1, size 4, I think, by trying to remember the missile rack sizes. So it's got the best components of all of them. VLX has almost the same except for the missile rack. But other than that, yeah, it's a great ship. It used to be tanky. I do like that it does have a docking collar. I wonder whether you could actually dock Perseus to those docking collars.
They're changing them all to squares.
Well,
right?
notice if you look at
the monthly report, it was still a round circle. But the main thing, I sent a message to Algrid about this, and I said, you notice how it seems like it's a lot higher off the ground? I think what they're doing is they're putting the components underneath, and the components are going to come down because it seemed like it had, like where the button was, just seemed like it was so much higher off the ground. I could be wrong, but that was the initial.
It could have just been the camera angle. But...
Yeah, because again, if you there's not a lot of space. If you kind of look over the surface of this ship, there's not a lot of place to put the components. The only place that me and Algrid kind of detected was like here at the neck was a possibility. But again, if you put it slightly off the ground, you could have things come down onto the ground underneath, and that was one thing we hadn't thought of. So that might be how they're doing it.
Were there any components before?
No.
Any spaces for them?
This is one of the oldest ships in the game. This is one of the original 5, and so it's just never ever had. In fact, when we went back to look at things, we did a revisiting the Aurora thing and like fixing the Aurora. The components they talked about weren't even boxes and different. You know, most of the components are essentially boxes. They were like that turbofan thing there, like here, and there was like a grill thing and all these things that clicked on them. They were all these random shapes before they'd even worked out what components were going to be. So it was really quite strange to go back and see them talking about all these pieces.
The components of a ship that weren't actually components in the current layout. So
yeah. So yeah, I think we'd agree though that the LN is probably the best of the Auroras. I don't really want to go into hyper detail on all of these. That this was done at a time when they were trying to show ship customization. So yeah, LN's probably the best of all those, right?
Yep.
There's so many versions of it.
Yeah, it's I think there's 5. It's kind of crazy. Right, Constellation Andromeda. Chris Roberts' kind of favorite ship, the middle of the road ship, I think, for the entire game. This is the kind of like, you know, one of the, you know, the standard middle, you know, it's not too big, it's not too small, it is kind of right in the middle, and I think it'll be a really good all-rounder when it's kind of said and done. Agrid, I am going to roll all these Constellation Andromedas together. So we can literally do, I'm just going to give a quick overview. Aquila is an explorer. The Phoenix is like a luxury model. The Taurus is kind of like the cargo model, and the Andromeda is kind of like the middle of the road for everything. I think that kind of covers that, does it not?
Yeah, pretty much. But probably the biggest difference is the Phoenix, less cargo, but the cargo bay is actually big enough so you can actually drive an Ursa in there properly and actually get out the side door. And the Taurus has lots more cargo, but
Loses the Merlin. The Merlin. Yeah.
So that's the biggest difference.
And I think this one gives up a turret, but it gets a better canopy. But the turret turns into like a sensor, so you can scan and stuff for exploring. So okay, that's the technical deals. But as a series,
iconic.
Iconic, yeah. There's nothing, like I think Algar and I would say that these are one of the very first ships that me and him came into the game with. So we've talked about it a lot, but what about you, Space? What do you think about the Connie?
This is one of the first ships I think of when I think Star Citizen. Like, if you were gonna have a game like our old-fashioned game art on the front of a physical case, I guess those are on the digital marketplaces now. It would definitely be a Constellation on the front for me. I don't like it per se. I think it's actually kind of ugly, and I really get annoyed when you land and it kind of tips to touch its nose to the ground.
That comes with the age, doesn't it, of those older ships?
Yeah. And I do think that whenever they do rework this, it'll probably be pretty nice. It's going to be a good looker, but it's just not quite the ship for me. But I have so much respect for it, dude. This and the Aurora to me are the two quintessential Star Citizen ships. Everything that's new to me is new, but when I look back on the game, I'm like, the Aurora, the Constellation, the 300 series, the Mustang, and like maybe the Reliant.
Yeah.
Those are like, that's Star Citizen.
What's your favorite in Constellation?
Probably the Aquila, just for the idea of it, but I like the Andromeda. I think it's well featured, good defensible. It's got the snub ship, pretty standard.
Mine's the Andromeda as well. I actually still own one to this day. Algrid, what about yours? What's your favorite?
I like them all, to be honest, because they're all slightly different.
So it's like trying to pick between your favorite child.
Like at the moment, I really like taking the Phoenix, even though it's less cargo, because you can drive the Ursa in. Drive an Ursa in there, you can get out the side door, back door, take your pick. The Connie has everything. As you said, the Aquila loses the turret, but it gets sensors. The Taurus loses the turret, but gets tractor beams, and loses the fighter and the
now you've said
Phoenix.
Now you've said it like that. It's because the Andromeda, there are other variants of the other three that do other things better. That's why I like the Andromeda.
And the Phoenix loses missiles and cargo space. So it's pick your poison, but I like them all. But yeah.
Right. Space Mono, tell me about the Galaxy.
Complicated one, man. I got complex feelings about the Galaxy. I really like it, and I love the idea of it. I like the size. I prefer like a 40 to 50 meter ship, but if I was going to get larger, I think I would probably go to something like this.
It's kind of similar in size, by the way, of that Perseus that we got today. So you can kind of sit there and look at that size, and you can kind of now envision what you're getting,
and design wise too. But it's so weird, man. The design for this is like, sometimes I see it and I like it, and other times I see it and I'm like, like from this angle, I'm not too crazy about it. But from other angles, I really like the way the Galaxy looks. The modularity is cool. Still not quite convinced on how much I would use modularity, but it makes it a really useful ship for different things. And the fact that you can outfit this to like go out with your crew and do a big mining expedition with a refinery, or go out with maybe even a military transport, and you've got a hangar in the back where you could put a ship, or you can go out and just have cargo, so you can run this as a cargo runner. That's a really cool part of this ship, and it means you don't have to get a bunch of variants like the Constellation, but at the same time, a master of multiple trades sometimes suffers in all of them.
That's true, and that's one of the things we learned talking to Ben and John was essentially goes like a niche ship, a variant, and then modularity. So the more versatile it gets, the less good it becomes at doing a very specific role. So you know, a build as an example, if they both turn out to be build ships, because this is a modular one, it won't be good as a dedicated variant like the Starlancer build. And then a dedicated ship like, say they had a Pioneer that was the same size as this, and I know it's not, that would be even better again than the build, just to give an example. Algrid, I think the safe bet for this one, if you're unsure, because like I am unsure about it, and I know you're probably a little, I think you got one, but for me, I think would recommend most people just get that $5 upgrade from the Valkyrie to this and just kind of sit on it, which is what I've done, just to lock in that cheaper price. But is there anything you want to add about the Galaxy, or?
No, it's, as you said, it's modular. That's probably the key thing. I always wonder whether it was I can't remember whether the Perseus was sold as a concept before this, or vice versa. But
Perseus was first. Perseus was first.
But it certainly continued the Dorito look, the kind of new look of RSI ships, and
very much so.
so
Right.
that's about it.
I'm wondering if we could. I really wanted to put the Ursa and the links together, but we can't. But this is essentially the Ursa for the Phoenix, is it not? So I think we can kind of say it's probably the least useful, as in functional, of the Ursa and the Nursa. But this is really a luxury Nursa for that, and for me, it's a pass because of that. But if you get a Phoenix, you get one with it.
If you get a Phoenix, you get one of those. So.
The Mantis and the Meteor, the Meteor is being a fairly new one, but the Mantis is still a ship that the only one that has that snare ability to pull things out of quantum, and then also has the QED that other ships do have to hold them there once they're there. But the only one that can pull ships out. So it's still, I really thought by now that we would have got another ship that could pull ships out of quantum, but we don't. So at $150, it's a bit steep. But now it's also sharing that look with the Meteor. It's lost a bit of its taste for me personally. I think it is a little expensive. I think it would be better value maybe around the $100 mark or less. Like I see it more like a light fighter. But because of the components on board, I can see why it's priced at 150, because that's how they have told us how they price things. But I'll put that off to you guys.
Weapon-wise, it does feel like a light fighter. It's very lightly armored, but that snare and QED just sets it above. One of the things I can remember very early on, and going back many patches, when asteroids used to appear out of nowhere, it was a great ship. Like, it's the only ship I've ever been in where I've crashed into an asteroid, lost everything, and the ship has still been functioning, and or barely functioning. And not being killed. Yeah. So,
Base, anything to add on the Mantis there, or just think it's a bit steep?
I think it suffers from a problem they're starting to build for themselves a little bit, in that they have created some amazing ships throughout the years of this game during times when the gameplay wasn't as defined. So those ships are really cool, and people buy them because they're cool. But then as the game continues to develop, and maybe the game turns away from that gameplay as much, or it's not as developed as quickly, CIG realizes they've got a really cool ship that people don't necessarily want because it's not that useful in the current game. So they go and they make another version of that ship that's more marketable. The Apollo we were just talking about is going to have that happen here shortly with the Hermes. The Mantis, I think, had that happen, and as you said, has now kind of decreased the value of the Mantis a little bit because it's sharing that chassis with a heavy fighter. And I think, like, it's a good idea. It's a good practice. You guys can make more money from selling a ship that's awesome. I always wanted an exploration Apollo, and I think a lot of people would agree. Like, a variant of a ship that I love doing the thing I love would be great, but at the same time, it starts to dilute the ships. It starts to lead to situations like this where you guys are saying, maybe don't get this, get the Meteor instead because it might be better, it might fit you better. It complicates things, and I think it's just another...
Would not be saying that. This thing is a complete glass cannon, the Meteor, and you can tell by the upgrade offer they've got today. So it's normally 260. You can get a war bond offer for 245. I would... maybe if that fits into a chain, it might be worth using as an upgrade. But the Meteor at $245 is just so expensive. It's not very good at fighting. It's only really good in an expert's hands, like a really, really good fighter. And even then, for the price you're paying, you can get so much better ships that just makes their life easier and can do better and more versatile things. This ship was a complete pass for me, and I think a lot of people passed on it. Like, I know a lot of people that picked it up, like, you know, they brought it with credit just to look at it. They tried it and went, this is garbage, and they melted it. And I think from today showing that it's the war bond, trying to encourage more sales, yeah, it's showing me that is what happened. A lot of people passed on it, especially considering if you like the look, you can get the Mantis for literally $100 cheaper.
So, $100 cheaper. I thought
Yeah.
it was 250 to 260. So you would say
150 versus 260, so it's 110
I
technically.
see. I see.
Price of a Cutlass Black. You could get a Meteor,
you can get
a Mantis and a Meteor and a Cutlass Black for that.
You can get an MSR for the same price, or a Corsair for cheaper, or a Connie for cheaper.
But okay, so the pricing is weird.
And that's for one person.
Would you say,
not for one?
Would you say, though, just going back to what I was saying, do you think that the Mantis is an easier sell than the Meteor if they were equal?
Yeah, but even then, I still think the Mantis is still too expensive. Like I kind of said that before. I think it should be around about $100, not $150.
No. I'm going to that, back to that theory of, do you think that they made the Meteor to sell more Mantis chassis because people aren't buying the Mantis as much, or do you think it's something
money
else?
I think they made the Meteor for money. That you know, a lot. Like, let's look at the sale as a whole. There are 2 new ships and a ship releasing, right? So you could officially say there's 3, right? But I think really there's only 2 new ones: the Clipper and the Salvation, right? And the Perseus is a release, so we knew about that ages ago. All the other ships that are coming, the other 4, they're variants. We've been, the last 2 years has just been a shit ton of variants, and it's all been money raising. What
is the one that they just kind of revealed on behind the ships, QVT or something like that? Or do you hear that? Ben Curtis said the name of something new that I hadn't heard before.
UTC?
No.
Okay.
Can't remember what it was, but it was kind of out of left field.
Okay, I didn't see the behind the ships because I've been asleep, so apologies.
I think it was a little the vehicle with the PDC on the back.
Oh, okay. The MDC, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That is technically a variant, because the other one that came out at Invictus was the same vehicle, but it did a different function. You know, the one with the 2 armored suits. Yeah, so that's a variant as well. That's why I said there's 4 variants. Right, the Orion, we talked about this a little earlier, at $650. I think this is a much better buy than the Arrastra, just because of the earn down economy. I think Agro would agree with me. But Tomato, again, is there anything you want to add to this on top of what you said before around the Arrastra?
I wouldn't buy it. Like, even if I was super excited for the gameplay, I wouldn't buy this, because this is one of the most mysterious parts of this game, is how are they going to do these large scale industrial game loops? Are they going to make them just larger versions of what we're doing, or is it going to be actually functionally different? I could see a lot of people buying this because they think that the Orion, as has been advertised, is going to work in a kind of a different way and require more like teamwork in a different way than the mole does.
But some people are scared of that with engineering. Now, I assume did you get into the tech test and try out engineering?
Yeah.
Now, did that scare you, or did it excite you?
I'm biased. It excites me, but I wouldn't take my opinion as a neutral source.
First one. So this was my first 2 reactions. The first one is, oh, this is awesome. My second reaction was, oh shit, they're going to crap all over this like they did like the new master modes and all that. That was my first thing. People are going to go, it's too complicated. But I was actually kind of wrong. It was a lot more subdued once people actually started to play the technical tests. So they can see where it's going. So I am kind of excited by that, and it gives me a lot of belief in where ships like this will eventually go. So I am looking forward to that. Agrid, is there anything there you want to add on the Orion? Or?
Well, I having in the tech test, I did take out Reclaimer. I did do salvage missions in the Reclaimer. There are issues I had, like the tractor beams on the Reclaimer weren't working. My tractor beams on myself weren't working, so it was hard to do the full salvage of ships. But I was doing that solo deliberately just to see whether the idea of get the big ship and earn down would work. And I was salvaging ships quite easily, you know, doing the same type of thing. I wasn't pushing the systems. The ship was not bursting into flame. I think after 3 or 4 hours, my coolers had lost 2%, and that was it.
Yeah.
So that earn down economy, I think, still works. Was I using the Reclaimer at its best ability? No. A crew would help, and I think that's going to be exactly the same with the Orion. And I think if you look at mining and the different skills you get so far in mining, I think the Orion will show that. And I think that's one thing we're going to see with all the different profession ships as they scale up. At least that's what I hope.
All right, the big ship of the day. You know, as I said, I was originally predicting 740 to 810, and it landed kind of right where I said, $800. Nice round number. I can see why they dropped it to that. Have you had a chance to get in game yet, Space Tomato, and fly the Perseus around?
No, that's what I'll be doing after this.
You're gonna love it. And I'll give you the takeaway, man. The quality of that ship on the outside and the inside, it now sets a new bar. Like, you thought the Polaris was good, this just smashes the Polaris out of the water. As an art person, I would point out to you the decals, the different material work on the outside. So for example, there are different looks of metal, like highly reflective, matte finishes, and that goes on just not just metal, but like there's all these different textures and colors. Like, you know, where the Polaris was kind of like just all gray, this thing has got all these different material breakups and decals, decals just everywhere on the doors, the signs, the floors, outside and inside. It is, the bar has been smashed. Like every ship, like going back to the Polaris as an example, and going back to even things like the Carrack and other manufacturers, and you apply the quality of this ship to other ships, oh my god! Like we are, I'm salivating at the thought. Like me and Agrid literally can go back and pretty much review every single ship, because the quality is just that high.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that they're getting so much better than they have been, and they're learning stuff. I was watching the briefing thing yesterday, and they were mentioning that, like, we heard the feedback on the Polaris, and we wanted to fix that here and make it better. And I freaking love that. But I'm also at the same time, I'm like, why weren't there Navy people giving input on the Polaris and making that? Because it's only a year old, and for something that big and that expensive to make to be outdated in a year is like, it's not good. So I hope.
Sorry, go on.
I hope this doesn't keep happening.
Yeah. So I think the problem with Polaris in game is the fact that it's made by committee. It's made, the Navy saying what they want, the militias saying what they want, these people saying what they want, and it's all mashed together. But there are certain things that don't gel. One of the things that in that show they talked about was the Navy guys saying, yeah, we have decals everywhere. You know, and one dev was saying he went into the Midway in San Diego and there were decals everywhere. And they said, yeah, we do that on all our ships. It's, you don't want to get lost. You've got labels everywhere telling you which way to go. And that's what's like. You don't really see that on the Idris. You don't really see that on the...
But they're going to go back.
On the Polaris.
This is the thing. They're going to go back and do that. And that's what really excites me. And they've said multiple times, like, it's about, like, the ship pipeline is always improving, and people get this fear factor that they don't realize they're going to go, but like, how many ships have you and I seen? Like, let's just take the Carrack example. I think there's been 3 times they've gone back to that thing. They updated the outside a couple of times. They've added the armor shell. They've still got to come back and add the antennae and stuff like that. So you take all the stuff they've done on this Perseus and go back. I'm not just saying this for you, I'm saying for the audience. But you add the quality of this and you start adding it to every ship that we know. Oh my god. Like, the quality bar is like amazing now. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to, and think about ships to come too. The Galaxy, the Orion, the Kraken. Oh my god, like.
Yeah, it really has set the bar. I think I said to you the other day, I hated being in the Polaris. I don't know why. I just don't. The Polaris just does not speak to me in terms of its layout. I just feel, but. This, when I walked through it and had a look at it yesterday, I love the layout. It felt logical. It felt usable. It felt like a really good ship for crew. I even love it.
I think the reason why this ship specifically is going to kind of beat the Polaris is just the smaller crew count too. I know the Polaris is technically 8 to 15 or whatever, but this is at the 7. Is just it's easier to get 7 people, and you don't fully need 7 people in it. You can kind of get away with 3 at the moment, but once engineering comes in, that's going to change. But $800, again, you start to look at that next to the Polaris, and the Polaris being so much bigger. I even back at the old prices, now we're looking at 800 versus 975. The Polaris, we're starting into that same thing with the Arrastra and Orion, where they do I spend that little bit extra? But I think time will tell. But I think the look of this ship is really what's going to get it over the line. That was another thing we learned from Ben and John, is that most people buy ships on their look. They've learned that, and this thing just looks amazing. So I'm expecting a lot of people to buy this today.
I think most people are gonna not focus on stats as much as the Redditors and like the really hardcore Star Citizen folks. This is a vibes game through and through, in my opinion.
At the moment, yeah. I
think one of the things I really do like about this is that cargo bay and the torpedo tubes, because when you open them up, you can actually load your torpedoes in. Now that means you can actually load your because you've got the rack that you're loading. You could load a range of cross-section torpedoes, infrared torpedoes, and so you can actually change your ammo loadout for your torpedoes, and you can even pull them out as well. So you could do that on the fly. So I can actually see the cargo bay being filled with torpedoes and people.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that they talked about this ship firing different types of ammunition from the Medusa turrets, but it doesn't do that yet. So that's another gameplay for like another ship that doesn't kind of have its gameplay and they said that it would be coming with that, and it hasn't come with that. So but it does come with the ability to fire different types of ammo via the torpedoes. It's not the same as on the turrets, and it also didn't come with guns on the turrets as well that you could switch out. So it comes default with Gatlings, but I've seen it with M I think it was M7As on it, or M something A's, whatever they're on it. So Space, you were going to say something before?
Oh, I just like that this ship fits into a category I'd put like the Starlancer TAC and the Karakin. They're like good general purpose ships for like 6+ people, but this one is clearly more military leaning. So it hits a different niche, but it's in that same sort of category. I think this doesn't have medical, right?
No, it does not.
And it doesn't have a hangar. So it loses out on that from the TAC, but it also, I think it demands more presence and it feels a little bit like sturdier.
Yep.
And then the Carrack obviously is going to be something you can use for a whole bunch of other stuff. But I like how this feels like a very combat oriented ship, but it also feels like a general just run missions and do things with your friends kind of ship.
It's like I've been on the main turrets and missions, and it's very satisfying when you hit a ship. And like I think the first ship I hit with it was like a Valkyrie or a Liberator, or one of those ships, and it literally just boom, gone. It was just so strong. But to get that initial shot, it's got some aiming problems at the moment. So it's a little bit like the ballistic turret on the Idris Algrid, and I know you fired that, so you've got to arc your shots a little bit and lead a bit. But once people get used to it,
it's a one-shot kill, a bit like the Idris's ballistic cannon. But
it's going to be deadly.
I was in last night and I was just watching chat, and people were talking about Polaris is going boom because they were hunting them down in the Perseus.
I want to see how this actually stands up against the Idris, actually. So I guess time will tell. We'll do more on this one today, where we are going to do a deep dive on this one and do a buyer's guide.
I think the speed will help that, but
Right, the Polaris Algrid. You were saying you talked about this one a little bit already. So, but again, you got to look at the prices: 975 versus 800. You see what I'm starting to say? This really starts to show what the role of this thing really was, which was that tip of the spear. It comes in, it's a strike craft, and it inserts ships out of its hangar. It is not like that. This comes in and it's surprise, motherfucker. That thing is staying in the fight and punching in the face, right? So that's the difference between the two of them. They're built. They're both military, but they're built for different things. And I think it's really clear now. They're built for different things. So Space. Is there anything positive you got to say about the Polaris? Or negative?
It's a cool ship. I don't have much to say about it, to be honest. I like a capital ship, and I think the Polaris is a well-made ship. I can see where the complaints about the interiors come from. I kind of viewed it as like a more Spartan and sparse military interior, but next to the Perseus, there's a pretty big contrast.
There is some stuff that has already carried over from the Perseus, by the way. Like, I went in it about a week ago, and they now do have lines on the floor that are orange and blue, showing the different sides of the ship. So they have, I think it really shows they are going to start to go back through and put some of those decals into the ship.
I think that we need to get more PvE scenarios against these kinds of ships, so that we can start to put together fleets and groups of ships like this and understand a little bit better how they fit together. I know some people are really good at fighting with these already. They understand how it works. But for more casual players like myself who aren't maybe into PvP or setting up events and stuff, it would be nice to be able to get a better idea of how these ships are meant to function in the game. Because a lot of times right now, it feels like it's first you have to get your crew together, then you have to find the missions that fit, and sometimes they're too easy or too hard. It'd be nice to just go somewhere and know you could find a good challenge, like Pyro, maybe.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find something. Next one is the Salvation. $60. Actually came out cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about 70. Yeah, I guess I need to get in game and try this one out for myself, but I am liking that industrial look. What about you, boys? Space, do you want to take that one first?
Like I said, I like that this has some crossover with the Arrastra. It's actually quite charming to me. It looks a little bit like a little space pancake with a cage around it and like one single significant addition on the top there. I like that. We knew this was coming to kind of be the salvage version of the Golem. Yeah, the Golem. And I like it. I think it looks good. I don't know much about it yet. I haven't even looked at the page for it, but it has RSI design in it. I think it's setting the design standard for some RSI right now.
Agreed.
It is small and compact, so it's going to be great for a starting situation. I'm glad that like people who are brand new to the game can now jump into something like this and try it out quickly. Can't wait till it's rentable. But yeah, I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, I think it's very encouraging that they're setting that kind of like $60 price point.
Yeah.
Hagrid, anything you want to add there?
No, the entrance is pretty much as you saw when we were doing the live stream the other day. You enter from the front. It's but what I do like is it automatically fills your cargo bay from those distractors,
like the Misfortune, yeah. And
it is smaller than an Aurora in all dimensions, which means it does fit inside a Carrack.
Well, they did say it was Pisces size, so I'd expect it to fit in there. So yeah. Slightly bigger than a Pisces. It's 1.5 meters longer. But it is definitely wider than a Pisces, but significantly lower than a Pisces. So, the Scorpius and the Scorpius and Antares at $230 and $240. I believe that's gone up by $5. I could be remembering that wrong, but I remember that at $225. Yeah, I think the Antares is a bit of a swing and a miss personally. Yeah. Scorpius is kind of very good where it is, but I think me and you prefer the Hurricane, Alfred. So I'll put it to you, Space. What do you think of the Scorpius?
It's cool. I don't use it much. I don't know why there's even one in my hangar, but every once in a while I'll jump in it to do some fighting. I'm not really much of a heavy fighter person because they're a little sluggish, but I love the firepower on the Scorpius. Love the design of it too, to be honest. It definitely is a very cool looking ship. I can't say I like the Hurricane more. I think I would, and I'm not going stats wise on this. This is all the looks and the feels of it, but I do think I like this one more than the Hurricane if I was going to go out with a 2-person.
Blasphemy.
Well, Aaron, you tell me why we prefer the
Hurricane. Yeah, but like we've taken both of these out, the Hurricane and the Scorpius. And one of the things we found is because on the Scorpius the pilot's got big guns as well. The pilot just goes, I'm chasing the target. So there's less of that communication and work with a turret gunner. In the Hurricane, we just found, didn't matter who was flying, there was just that synergy of working together, which we didn't find on the Scorpius. It was just
it almost like the turret just got dragged along in the Scorpius, but when you're in the Hurricane, you really wanted to
actually work with your-
prioritize it because it just and when we so for example, when we put like distortions on the pilot, and we would go up against other hurricanes and totally smash them because like we just strip the shields in the first pass and start out with damage where they'd be start chipping the shield down, we'd just remove the shield completely, and because that you were always focusing on getting the turret onto them, you just won because you'd remove the shield. It was just that simple. And every time the pilot came around and could get a shot off, he just kept that shield down. It was just crazy powerful. Yeah, it just.
But that's something we didn't feel with the Scorpius, and we did both where we'd swap roles because maybe it's just because you're the fighter, you're the pilot and I'm the gunner, but no, we swap roles, and we at the end we both say, man, I still preferred the Hurricane. It just felt. So that's an awesome looking ship. It's a X-wing in Star Citizen.
You basically give up the turret though for Antares, and it's only $10 less, and it's just not worth it for me. I looked up the price of this. I have remembered it wrong. It was $210 at Warbond. I thought it might have been the Warbond price, but yeah, I've just remembered this one wrong. But it's not a ship that I find very memorable, clearly. So yeah. Quite forgettable for me. Right, the Ursa, $50. I think this is probably still one of the best all-round vehicles in the entire game, but at $50, it's a very hard pill to swallow, especially just given the example for today, for $10 more you can get a salvation, an entire ship. So again, I never recommend ground vehicles at all. The Ursa is starting into one of those rare exceptions. If you don't have a medical vehicle, you can add it to a ship. So I can see the advantage, but also you can buy it in game now. So why would I spend $60? So it's the same thing.
The other thing with the Ursa is that if you get an Aquila, you get an Ursa.
Yep.
So if you've got a Connie Andromeda, you get the Ursa automatically. And if you've got a Carrack, you get the Ursa.
Yep, that's it. Right, the Zeus series. Still waiting on the Marquee Mark to come out for bounty hunting. But yeah, what about you, Space?
I like the ES.
The ES?
I mean, I actually thought the ES would steal me away from the Spirit more when it came out. I still think it's a great ship, good size, good for a couple of folks. This is one of the best ships in the game, probably, if you want to go out with a friend or two in a compact, defendable ship.
How about I ask you a very controversial question about it then? Do you think it's unfair that the Zeus ES people are getting the skin and the Zeus CL people are not getting the skin for best in show? Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but the ships are they're a bit different. Yeah,
but again, they're basically the Zeus. I think all three Zeuses should have got the skin. And I found out recently, you know how the 600i got like multiple skins, like over the years? They all went to the same variant. They all went to
they're not shareable?
No, they were given to the people that owned the Explorer, and they didn't go to the touring people.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that.
That's really unfair in my book. It should have just gone to both of them. And it's the same thing here. I think it should go to all three Zeuses, not just one of them.
If the skins in the packs that you buy go between the holes, and it should go to across the holes, regardless of whether it's a ES Marquee Mark or CL.
Well, the other thing that's as Citizen Ninja points out in chat, and I agree with him, is the CL is more popular than the ES. Right? So when you do the math, they're literally trying to encourage sales. That's why they're doing the ES. Because they know a lot of people are going to pick up the ES to get the skin. And it's leaving a very bad taste in my mouth. Quite honestly. Well, put it this way, at the moment in my hangar, I have a CL and I have a Marquee Mark, and now I have to go buy this with credit to get the skin. And that
or don't.
Or don't
forget the skin.
Yeah, no. Hey, don't talk blasphemy to me, sir. But I'll buy one with credit and then just melt it after the event. But it's just annoying.
I did see a couple of people have indicated that in the ship showdown, you didn't even get a choice of which Zeus to go for initially. It was just, we're going for.
But when the vote came out, you saw you saw CLs and you saw ESs, but it's only the ES that made it into the vote, and that's just not fair in my book. I understand possibly not putting. It should have just been the Zeus. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know, it muddies the water with variants, and I think variants need to be given that exception because they are the same chassis, and it's just not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because essentially you are splitting which ones people buy and which one people's like, but they are the same. So by splitting them, you're just putting them back together. Yeah. Right, and we're done. That is all of them today. So that's been all the ships going around. Just kind of give you our thoughts on them, so to help you make your decision on which ones you like, which ones you don't. Feel free to share your opinions in the comment below. Is there anything that either of you gentlemen would like to add before we mosey on?
Go ahead, Albert.
I was just going to say upgrades.
The only one is the Meteor. As I said, it
Okay.
was there, and if you can fit it into a chain, it gives $15 saving.
Yep.
And that's the only one that I've had the time to see. But again, that's why I was hoping Lemon was here, but he seems to be a bit AFK at the moment. Right.
Briefly.
Yeah. So, is there anything you guys want to hear from people in the comments below?
What are your thoughts on the Salvation?
I think this is a very. I think this is a very unique IAE.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of years have been changing a little bit, but this is the first time we're not getting concept ship.
Mm-hmm.
Star Citizen in general has made more progress as a real game with cosmetics and stuff after this year. There are more ships available to buy in the game or earn in the game in different ways. There are unique ships that you can only get in game with different components and stuff. The floor is a lot more complicated than it used to be. You don't have to buy ships. You don't have to think about their money cost anymore. And so I'm interested in hearing how that's affected the way people are approaching these events. Are you still excited for IAE because you want to go and buy stuff, or are you just excited to free fly stuff and then find it in game and figure it out from there? Because that could reflect a big change for Star Citizen. I'm sure they're thinking about how that balance works when November and May are their two biggest months with these kinds of events.
Algrid, you asked about CCUs. I've just realized there is another one, and I'm just going to flick over real quick. The Perseus has one as well. There's a $700 one. So not quite the original price, but $100 cheaper. So it's only $25 more than the original. So that's very palpable, actually. I can agree to paying extra $25 for release. I think that's not too bad. But then again, you have to buy the CCU, so you'd have to upgrade off something else. But that could be really good for people that missed out on the ones over the years.
Previously.
So
I think we used to go from Hammerhead to Perseus, but that was when it was cheaper.
Well, it is still cheaper because the Hammerhead's $725, so that doesn't work that way. But I think you've mixed it up with the Polaris, my friend. Is what you're thinking of the Polaris?
It's possible. It's possible.
It's all good.
It's all a jumble after many years of doing.
But at the price point there of $700, I think you'd be looking at things like the Banner Merchantman at $650 or the Orion at $650. So yeah, that's kind of the ones I'd be looking for there. But I think that's kind of palatable, especially for new people that are looking to buy. At least you can get $100 off today. So I'd be hoping nobody is buying at 120 months insurance.
No.
You should be buying something like an LTI token at the very least. So like the Salvation or one of the ships with LTI, and just upgrading it and getting it for 700.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's everything. Where can people find you on the interweb, Space Tomato?
Easiest thing is just to search for Space Tomato. YouTube, Twitch, internets, everywhere. You could just search for Space Tomato, and one of the channels will pop up.
And you'll be coming back to help me with the finale, I believe. So you're going off on holiday or something at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, we've got stuff coming up for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's what it is. I always forget it's Thanksgiving. Right. With that, then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And thank you everyone that went the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. With that, then, he's been Space Tomato, and he's been Algrid. I've been Execute, and we'll see you next time.
I'm not even going to try and point because I always get it wrong.
Yep. See you, citizens.
Take care.